This meditation is mindfulness of feelings and thoughts, but this time we are doing it with the intention of cultivating non attachment. That is, to let go of the craving and the aversion that may be creating suffering in our life, making us do things that we really don't want. So, this particular meditation is based on the law of dependent origination, a version or interpretation of this law in order to handle the unpleasant issues or events that may be occurring in our life. So let's begin. Closing your eyes, relaxing the shoulders, comfortable body, but the spinal cord straight. And now allowing the attention to go to the breath that's coming in and coming out. This is the way my body is receiving the breath at the moment, here and now, bringing us here and now. If the attention is wandering around, that's okay. Once we notice that the attention was somewhere else, we can say to ourselves, aha, this is my mindful moment. And then bringing the attention back to where it left. And now allowing us, our mind, to think about an unpleasant event or issue. If you think that this issue is too big to handle, if it is making you feel extremely anxious or overly preoccupied and overwhelming sensations, you can stop and come back to it later. Give yourself the permission to do that. But if it is possible to tolerate this unpleasantness, then that is one way we would be cultivating non attachment, and then we can see where that takes us. So, allowing an unpleasant issue or event to come to our mind and allowing ourselves to think about some details about this event or issue. Tolerating the unpleasantness because it's most likely going to create unpleasant sensations, unpleasant feelings. Tolerating it with the intention of changing its course. And noticing the feelings and thoughts that are coming to our mind. You can begin with the thoughts. Thoughts are sentences that are describing what happened. And feelings can be described with one word. I feel angry, I feel jealous, I feel disorganized, I feel disrespected, I feel helpless, I feel confused. Whatever the feelings are about this particular issue or event, allowing you to notice the feelings, label them. And then notice the thoughts that come to your mind. Maybe there is anxiety, which means that something in the future that you think is going to happen and you may be afraid of it. Anxiety is fear of the future, not something that's happening in the moment. Maybe there is sadness. Maybe you want to do something about this situation, but it's not under your control. There is helplessness. Maybe something unjust has happened and you may be feeling angry. Anger, sadness, as well as fear, all these feelings can create anxiety that something bad is going to happen and you need to think about it. Even if it is something that has happened in the past, it may create anxiety because you may be expecting it to happen again in the future. When you pay attention to the thoughts, what's going on, pay attention to that. There may be a lot of stories that are coming to you in the form of your thoughts. Some stories may be right and some may be distorted, but you're interpreting whatever happened. You're expecting something to happen in the future by interpreting something that has happened in the past. That's the chain. That's the dependent. It depending upon whatever your experience in life has been. Depending upon that, you are expecting something similar to happen in the future, interpreting it based on your life events. Maybe somebody said something to you and you did not answer properly, you feel disrespected, and now you're planning, if it happens in the future, what you would like to say. Or maybe you feel betrayed by someone, you're sad and angry and upset about it, and maybe your mind is busy thinking about the betrayal, what happened and why, and analyzing and how it is going to play in the future, the trust issues, all kinds of thoughts may be coming to your mind, and you may be again planning your future based on this, based on your interpretation of why you were betrayed. You may be holding the other person responsible completely for it. Whatever it is that is crowding your mind and making you either plan or interpret or prepare or desperately look for some solution, whatever is going on, allowing it to just, for the moment, stay on the side. See if it is possible to completely open your mind. All the interpretations and planning and prepping and answering and back and forth and problem solving, just for this moment, shift the burden on the side and let the mind become completely open. See what feelings are coming, and that's it. And how these feelings are creating unpleasant sensations in you. That's what matters in the moment. The feelings and the unpleasantness, regardless of the thoughts and the stories, it's unpleasantness. And see if it is possible to tolerate this unpleasantness. Removing all the perceptions that you are holding, removing those just for this moment and only paying attention to the unpleasantness. You may be feeling it in your body. paying attention to the body of this unpleasant sensation. Completely open, just simply watching the feelings and then the thoughts, not letting your mind create more stories, more thoughts, getting involved, attached to all your perceptions and interpretations. Instead, asking it to just stay on the side and open your mind, make it very spacious. Imagine a space in front of your eyes. You are just sitting there and watching this space. This space may be holding pain and unpleasantness. In spite of that, you're holding the space and looking at this space. Just do that for some time. Noticing the unpleasantness and still looking at this open space. And now allowing yourself to see what arises in this open space. First thing you're doing is to training yourself, cultivating tolerance for the unpleasantness. Instead of reaching any conclusion right away, instead of taking any action right away, planning and plotting, instead of doing any of that, all you are doing in the moment is tolerating the unpleasantness. Knowing that if you allow all those other things to decide what you are going to do, then you are continuing your suffering. In order to reduce the suffering, know that tolerating unpleasantness may give you alternative perspective, alternative perception, or maybe a wiser solution. But that is only if you uncrowd your mind by your current, from your current solutions and any stories. Open it up and wait for something to show up. If you have patience, you will wait for as long as it takes for something to show up. That's a new perception, a new intention, a new interpretation. So first thing is to tolerate the unpleasantness, and the second thing is to wait for a new perception to open up by taking away if there is any self-grandiosity or self-blame that is showing up. It's called becoming. You want to become something. You're tempted to have an immediate thrill. Letting go of that, noticing that maybe what you want is some immediate thrill by wanting to prove something to somebody, to yourself. Letting go of that and just simply open up your perspective, open up your mind, and see what comes up. Tolerating, opening up, and removing the becoming, which is self-grandiosity or self-blame. And waiting patiently. See what shows up. Your old interpretation, perception, and whatever was leading to the suffering was based on, it was dependent on certain events in your life, certain mental habits. Now we are cultivating new habits, and one of the habits is to let go of becoming, self grandiosity, and self blame, and to cultivate calmness, to not react to unpleasantness right away, non reactivity to unpleasantness. Once you do that, open completely and wait to see what comes up. Maybe a different approach may arise in your mind that is coming from a place of love and compassion. Communication done with some understanding instead of anger, and that will reduce your suffering. Instead of feeling helpless, like I have no control, and suffering because of that, maybe you'll be okay about letting go of control, knowing that not everything is under our control. And it's not such a bad thing. Maybe it will remove the burden of wanting to have control from your mind. It will free you from that. If you think something unjust was done to you, you may find something that in which you may have contributed to this. The anger about the other person completely being responsible for this may be reduced because of realizing your own part, or realizing the dependent origination of that person's action more than what you had thought before. The intention is to reduce suffering, to reduce whatever unpleasantness you're experiencing because of your stories, to know that this is because of the perceptions, and being able to stay with the unpleasantness will give insights into different perceptions that may reduce suffering. Relaxing the body, and if nothing else, allowing love and compassion for yourself, forgiveness for yourself, knowing that you're trying your best. And this doesn't mean complacency. In fact, this will open your perception up more for reduced suffering. Bringing the attention back to this open space and see what's arising, what new perceptions or new interpretations are arising, with the intention of reducing suffering. Suffering because of clinging to, craving comfort and craving good feelings and hating anything that is bad. The intensity of craving and aversion, that's what's creating suffering. That creates unpleasantness, and the unpleasantness feels like suffering. But by being able to stay with the unpleasantness, by not taking any action right away, not reaching any conclusion right away, you're allowing that unpleasantness to have more space, and it gets diluted. New grass, new greenery may appear in this open space. New light may show up. love, compassion, patience, gratitude, forgiveness. Experiencing these feelings, if possible, may change the perception, and experiencing these feelings for yourself first, because you deserve it. We all deserve it. And with that, I'm going to do the gong. Those of you who would like to stop, you can, and those who want to continue watching the unpleasantness and seeing or observing where it takes you, please feel free to do that.